Let's talk about one of your recent tweets. I'm just going to read it. After coming within $16 of the $48,250 level I gave below, Bitcoin has pulled back beautifully, as predicted, hitting $45,824. Cue the deleting of comments that said I would be wrong from bikers who can't control their emotions. Again, members and I just keep printing dollars. Are you the Federal Reserve now? You keep printing dollars?
I wish I could do it as easily as the Federal Reserve. I mean, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, bottom line is this was a pure chart play. And my point of saying stuff like that is I really want people to start to understand that emotion gets you in trouble. Like, yes, I believe in Bitcoin long-term, but it doesn't mean it's going to go up every single day from here until eternity. You're going to have pullbacks. You're going to have levels that hit. And that's exactly what we have. If we look at the Bitcoin chart here, it was a beautiful move up into this perfect parallel channel trend line. And the 200 moving average was right there. The Bitcoin was up 7 straight days into that too. So, I mean, it was kind of begging to be a pullback. And so all we did was we sold our long on Bitcoin, and then we just ended up shorting it there and now in the money. So again, I think there's still a little bit more downside here. First big level to test is going to be right here, just below 45,000. We're getting pretty close. And then that will be the first big test, whether or not Bitcoin can turn around and try to break out, or if it's going to fail and start heading back to the lower side of the channel.
That channel seems to be moving upwards, though. So maybe that's a long-term play to stay bullish. What's your take?
Yeah, so the weird thing about it is, and this is kind of counterintuitive, but channels that are upsloping like this, generally the probabilities are that they break to the downside. And what's interesting about this, if you go back to last year, let's go back to last May and June, you actually had another kind of channel, but this one was downsloping. So if we look at this here and we draw a parallel line, you can see how you were in this parallel. Downsloping parallel channels tend to break up, while upsloping tend to break down. So again, all I do is technical probabilities, right? The charts basically tell us what's the most likely outcome. And whether or not we chop around here for a while, the ultimate outcome for probabilities is eventually to see more downside.
Okay. Eventually to see more downside. The thing about emotions, you're right. The emotions wreck your trading. They wreck a lot of things in life, but let's just focus on trading for now.
That's true.
The issue is people stick to a thesis, and sometimes when that thesis doesn't play out, I guess egos get in the way or something. We don't admit that we're wrong, and we don't admit that we have to update our thesis, and then we just keep buying into that wrong trade. Either we average down when we shouldn't, or we don't get out when we should.
I was just going to say you're 100% right. And listen, even myself, I mean, I've done this for 20 years and I still struggle with ego. No one likes to be wrong. But again, I think it's important for us, you might be the most bullish on Bitcoin ever. It doesn't mean it's going to go straight up nonstop, right? You have to understand price action. You have to understand that when too many people get bullish and that emotion takes over, that's usually a bearish sign, and vice versa on the bearish, when overly bearish side, it's usually bullish. So I think people need to kind of just understand that, you can have your long-term thesis like I do that says Bitcoin eventually goes to $500,000, $1 million, but it doesn't mean it's not going to go to 20,000 before that. And I think that's important to understand, is that you have to flush out a lot of the weak hands before it can really regroup, bring back the .com era. And I've talked about that a lot, how in the .coms, Amazon survived and has thrived. It went to $6 a share in 2000 when the .com bubble collapsed. And then now it's at 3,300. So you can have washouts, and the best and the brightest will survive.
Before we talk about your price action forecast, let's talk about your methodology for trading. How do you determine momentum right now?
So momentum is a great thing, right? It's a great thing to understand as long as you catch it early. Now, when you're late to the party, like last October and November, when you were 65,000, 68,000, you can't chase that momentum. You need, as an investor, to step back and say, okay, Bitcoin has run up way too far, way too fast, and I'm not going to be that person that buys right up at the highs. Now, if you start to recognize the momentum shift, and that's the key, is can you catch it as it's just turning? And that's where the momentum is. That's where the big money is made. It's very, very hard to do. The only way I've ever found out how to do that is by following the charts and noticing that you're buying at support. All right, buying at support, generally you put the odds in your favor of that move.
Okay. So what are we at right now? We're at $45,000 just about. Is that a critical support level for you? Or, well, you said you might expect more downside. So what is the critical support level for you?
Yeah, so the first big test is going to be right here at around 45,000. Right now we're at 45.6. I'm tempted to take a little bit of my short off the table right around there just to protect myself in case we start moving back up. That would be the smart decision. If we do break 45, then you start heading back to a lower level here that I'm watching very, very closely. And this would be your next one connecting these lows. It's around 40,000. And then really the one that investors should be most concerned about would be this trend line here at the very lows. If that breaks, that's where you start getting into the 20,000-ish range, and you could see some major downside. Now, on the other side of the coin, let's talk to both sides, right? Because I think it's important to understand that investors, you don't want to just be focused on one side. And I think that's a major problem with crypto, is that everyone's just focused on the bull case. So in my case, I'm more on the bear side, but it doesn't mean I don't look at the bull case. And for me, the bull case is simply that if we were to start trading above this 200 moving average in this channel, and we were to hold there for a matter of days, one day doesn't matter. We've seen that plenty of times reversed. But if you establish yourself above this level here, then you can start saying, okay, maybe Bitcoin can start to really get some momentum and break to the upside, because the channel would be broken and the 200 moving average would be broken.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address, because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dan.